talking about arrogance and strutting and displaying pride in one's walk and dragging garments. Why is this important? Why does he mention this and include this as part of the discussion of arrogance? Okay. So he's talking about strutting. Do you guys know what strutting is? Right? So it's like when you walk out, like you do chest out, and you're like, you know what I mean? This one, من جر ثوبه خيلاء فلا ينظر الله إليه. Why is it a problem? Or is it not a problem?
Just like you're walking in such a way you're trying to show I'm better or I have
Okay. Okay. Sure. Does everybody who walks like that, are they arrogant? No? Okay. What about somebody who drags his garment? No? Okay. Then why mention it? I'll mention a couple ayat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا. That the worshippers of Rahman are those who walk upon the earth humbly. And then Allah, the Prophet ﷺ, he said concerning this, مَنْ جَرَّ ثَوْبَهُ خُيَلَاء فَلَا يَنْظُرُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ. That whoever drags his garment out of arrogance, then Allah will not look upon him. Does that help? It doesn't help? That somebody who walks like this and somebody who drags their garment like this, what are the chances of them showing pride and arrogance? Is it high or low? It's pretty high, right? Because if somebody's walking around, you know what I mean, like in strutting, that's usually, it's a sign of pride and it's usually a sign of arrogance. So over here, Imam Ghazali, he wants to target these two things. Why? So Allah says don't do these things, for sure. What else? I'm sorry? Well, personal experience in terms of dealing with others, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I think so. What else? Right, so if I can fix my physical characteristics, it becomes a lot easier to work on my internal ones. So if telling someone not to walk like that, here, let me give you two examples. It's like, okay, hey, listen, don't walk like that, and don't be arrogant. Which one is actually more like, yeah, which one's like easily, like, you know, what can I work on immediately? Like, don't walk like that, right? It's a very easy, low-hanging fruit. It's like, okay, hey, listen, if you can, and not just that, remember, gaining humility is a journey, right? Becoming humble, it's not, do we have like a humble switch inside? You know, I'm going to go from arrogant to like humble. It's like, oh man, I didn't hit that, I didn't hit the fuse, right? That's not how that works. And if part of the journey is softening our hearts, then part of that journey is this, right? Learning on how to remove, if I have physical manifestations of these, and you know what I mean? If I have superficial manifestations of these, okay, let me remove those. Let me take care of those. And if I'm able to take care of those, it becomes that much easier and I draw closer and near to my heart, which is where essentially I'm trying to take this arrogance out of. Make sense? Yes? You're allowed to walk what? Confidently. Okay. So there's here, let me give you 3 examples of walking. That's one. It's 2. There's a difference, yes or no? Walking with confidence is just like, okay, you know where you're going. Even he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how did he used to walk? He used to walk confidently. He used to walk upright. He used to walk straight. They say that he even leaned forward a little bit when he was walking because he used to walk very quickly, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? He would always walk with a purpose. So having those characteristics of like confidence, of purpose, those are good. Those are things that we should all have. Because I'm just saying, what is the best way of dealing with somebody who is predatory? So somebody who wants to attack other people, right? And we have those people in society. How do I deal with those people? What is the best advice that children usually get in school if they're being bullied or they're being preyed upon? So not just be confident. Yeah. Well, don't be afraid. That's kind of tough, right? Like fear, I think, is something that's natural. I think a very easy thing is, all right, how do you make yourself a more difficult target? It's unfortunate, right? Because people who are predatory, they're always going to what? They're going to prey on somebody, right? That's what they do. What should I do in response? I should make myself more difficult to be preyed on. And what is an easy way to do that? With confidence. What's an easy way of doing that? By building character. What's an easy way of doing that? By giving them the ability to respond. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, in the same verse that I had started the class with, He says, وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا. He says that the worshippers of Rahman. And it's amazing how Allah Azza wa Jal, He's connecting these people with His characteristic of mercy. He doesn't say وَعِبَادُ اللَّهِ. He says عِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ. Those worshippers who worship the Rahman, they walk on this earth humbly. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. And that when the ignorant address them, and here He Azza wa Jal, He's not talking about the ignorant person, He's talking about what? The ignorant action. So someone comes to me in an ignorant way, I respond, قَالُوا سَلَامًا. I don't what? I don't engage with that person. And when I don't engage, what happens? I remove the power from the relationship. Like, what if somebody now is taking a further step? Because someone might be like, okay, well, even if I fight this person is stronger than me and they're going to beat me up. Yes? What is the response to that? Okay, maybe he might beat me up, but will a bully go after a target that's going to fight back? If I want to take money, right? If I want to take money and I go to Nabi, and Nabi fights back, and I go to Ibrahim and Ibrahim doesn't fight back. Next time, where am I going to go? Right, I'm going to go to Ibrahim. Because I know what? It's less of a headache, it's less of an issue. Even if I know I can hurt him and I can beat him up, why go through? Why go through the headache? Why go through the effort? Remember, the idea is making yourself a difficult target by making yourself stronger. There's certain things you can't stop. So we went to a Homeland Security discussion. And the Homeland Security discussion was how to make your institution a hard target. Have you guys heard this before? You know what a hard target is? A hard target is one that it is more difficult to infiltrate than the opposite of a hard target would be what? A soft target. What are some of the things they recommend? They say, okay, putting up a fence. What are some things they recommend? Having one entrance and one exit. What are some things that they recommend? Having video surveillance. What are things that they recommend? Having posted security. Better than posted security, armed security, right? So having all of these things very public, having all of these very public signs and these very public entrances, is it going to stop somebody from infiltrating the space? No, but it'll make it what? It'll make it more difficult, because if I have a choice, this masjid, they have a fence, they have a single entrance and exit, I know that they have video surveillance, I know that they have somebody who's walking around the premises, and there's this masjid where there's no, people don't go that often, I don't see any video cameras, or if there are, there are only one or two. As the predator, which one am I going to go to? Right? Huh? The one that has less. Because I want to stay the apex predator, right? I want to be the one that stays on top. So what am I going to do? I'm going to choose the weaker target. And this is what predators and this is what bullies do. They always choose weaker targets. Over here in this situation, who is the predator that we're trying to avoid? Who is the bully that we're trying to keep off of us? Yeah, the shaitan. Yes or no? Right? We want to minimize the infiltration. Can we stop the shaitan? No, we can't. The Prophet ﷺ, he said about the shaitan, he says, يَجْرِ جَرِيَ الدَّمِ. He says that the shaitan, he is like the blood in your veins, right? He's always there, he's always present. The moment he finds an opening, what does he do? Boom, he tries to get in, he tries to take a shot. Because he wants to take advantage, he wants to slip in, he wants to be in your ear, he wants to try to confuse you. And one of the easiest ways to start is with these physical actions. Like if I can start controlling the way I carry myself, that is one step closer that I am to spiritual fulfillment and a way for me to develop humility. So this hadith about Allah will not look at the man who drags his lower garment, he's saying this for a reason, because in general, when we think of people who have like long, flowing, dragging garments, who do we think of? I'm sorry? Saudi women? Oh. But it's not, so the thing is, yes, like, so women who wear abayas, like, usually they have very long abayas, but how long are they? Are they like 3 feet long? They still drag, right? They drag just a little bit. And even Salama, she complained to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She said that, Ya Rasulullah, like, my garment, it drags, and there's najasa that gets on it. So he said, okay, immediately after the place that is najas, what is that? She's like, well, it's clean. He said, and that's what cleans it. He didn't tell her what? Don't wear a dragging garment. So for women, having a dragging garment, that's fine. There's not a problem with that. But I'm saying in general, when we think of like kings, what is one of the things that the kings have? Right? They have like long robes. Like sometimes you have people who are holding it from behind, right? Like it's just this long thing. Why does he do it? Many times he does it as a show of extravagance, right? He does it as a show of power. That I have so much money that I can spend on this cloth that I don't even need. Does that have a function? Like, there's no function to it. Right? It's not like this is something that covers, it's going to protect you from the rain or the wind. No. It has no function except to what? Just to show. That's it. That's who the Prophet ﷺ is talking about here. He's not talking about people who have long pants. And there are some people who say that, your pants can't be this long or they can't be that long. It has to be, you have to keep your pants like this. It's like, no, and subhanAllah, and the amazing thing is, the Prophet ﷺ said very clearly here, he said, khuyala. And you know who responded to this hadith? Abu Bakr. Can you imagine any level of arrogance in that man? Radiallahu anh. He responds to the Prophet ﷺ, he was like, hey, my garment drags. What did he say? He said, my garment drags. I have one side of my garment, it actually drags. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, when you do it, you don't do it out of arrogance. He said very clearly to him. So he said, you don't do it out of arrogance. Here, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, while a man was walking proudly in his 2 fine garments, admiring himself, Allah caused the earth to swallow him, and he will continue sinking in it until the day of resurrection. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that. This is the problem with pride, right? Pride, it'll manifest itself in these ways, and one of the easiest ways to nip it in the bud is to stop doing those overt actions. Does that mean, so if I don't drag my garment, if I don't walk proudly, does that mean that I've removed pride from my heart? No. It just means I'm one step closer to removing it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. So this is something that's different as well. You had a companion, he came to the Prophet ﷺ, same thing. And he's like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not accept a drop of pride in the person's heart. They will not enter paradise. He responds, he's like, Ya Rasulullah, I like to look nice. I like to look nice, I like to have nice sandals, like I like to smell nice. The Prophet ﷺ, how did he respond to him? He says, Inna Allah jameel wa yuhibbul jamal. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beautiful and He loves beauty. So making myself look beautiful, there's a different aspect of that. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me in this, and I am being reflective of those blessings that I have been given. Does that make sense? Meaning, that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me money, and He's given me a job and stability and all of these things, and I walk around with the same sweatpants and flip-flops that I've had for the past 20 years. And I'm like, I want to show that I'm very, pious, and like, Right, mashallah, tabarakallah, right? And like those sweatpants, they have like holes in them, right? You know, they have like names of teams that don't even exist anymore, right? Like,
The wrong teams.
the wrong, like wrong teams. So oh, ouch. But he said the bear. He said the bears. So there's a few things to that. Number one, is this person being thankful for the blessings that he's been given and being reflective of what he has? Second problem I have with this is like, okay, you look like that. How attractive are you to others who want Islam? And someone might be like, oh, well, the Prophet ﷺ, he used to fix the holes in his clothing. Yes or no? Why do you fix holes? Why? Because you want to look presentable. Otherwise, khalas, just leave them. Or just stitch them like whatever way you want. We as Muslims have to learn how to be presentable to others, because that is what invites other people to Islam. One of the interesting things here, at least, I'll just give one example. Here in the United States, does anybody, when there are problems in the society, in the culture, has there been a time where we're sitting there thinking in our minds and hearts, man, if only these people had Islam, they wouldn't have that problem? Have we all thought this? Huh? Like, a lot of things. It's like, man, these guys, they're having children out of wedlock, and they're having this problem with this thing, and there's like, you know, they're having this issue here. It's like, oh, they're not able to build their family relationships. They're leaving off this. And if only these people had Islam, right? This is what we think in our minds and we think in our hearts. What prevents them from accepting? What is it? We're so foreign to them. Like when they look at us and they look at me, does this look like America? I'm just being honest. Huh? We change the culture. We make everybody look Arab. No, it's just an honest thing. Even when we look, someone might be like, okay, well, how come that isn't the case in Black America? Black America, they have a history of Islam, right? Like they have names like Ahmed, they have names like Khadija, they have names like Fatima, they have names like, right? They have all of these names, and they won't be Muslim. Islam is not something that is very foreign to them. You know what group of people it is very foreign to? White Americans. And if I'm not wearing a suit, if I'm not wearing a tie, if I'm not wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and if I'm not walking around like this, it becomes something that is very what? Very foreign. It's very different. You know, one of the complaints that Abu Talib, Abu Lahab, and like all these people who didn't accept Islam, you know what complaint they didn't have? They weren't like, oh man, you guys look so different. You're so foreign. You're so weird. SubhanAllah, I remember I was having this discussion one time, and people were like, you know, we need to dress Islamic. I was like, I agree. Like, I don't think anybody should dress un-Islamic, right? Like that. I think that's very inappropriate. But I said, but what is Islamic dress? What is it? And I was like, oh, are you talking about like the thobe? And I was like, yeah, but don't Christian Arabs wear a thobe too? Like, isn't it part of their culture? He was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, shalwar qamis, like the Pakistanis wear. I was like, no, actually the Sikhs, they wear the shalwar qamis. I was like, you know what, forget this. Let's go back to the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And how did they used to dress? I was like, just like Abu Lahab and Abu Jahl. So are you telling me the pagans, idol worshippers, dress more Islamically than we do today? Islam should always be a culture. It should always be a vision and mission that it's inviting to people, and it doesn't look what? It doesn't look weird and different. It looks like I can actually relate to that. Or like where you're in a gathering, blah, 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 and like someone's looking at you, and someone might be like, oh, well, I don't agree with that. Where someone looks at you and like, whoa, I didn't know you were Muslim. Why? Because I look like them, because I talk like them, right? Are there going to be differences in certain things? Obviously, right? Like we're not going to eat pork, we're not going to drink alcohol. When it's time to pray, we're going to go and pray. But it's like, yo man, he likes coffee just like I do, right? Like he likes this sport just like I do. Like he dresses just like, you know, I don't see any difference there. And are there things that are going to be different? Obviously, right? I'm not here to say like, oh yeah, we have to complete integration. No, that's not the point. We still hold on to our religious values. What we need to learn is how to integrate our cultural ones, right? That's where I don't think we're doing well. Yeah, because you know what's happening? We're putting more value to many of the cultural things that we're doing, and we put less value to the religious ones. And it's very unfortunate. You know, well, how's the Imam supposed to look? You're supposed to look like this. And if I look like that, people are going to be like, yeah, the white guy, right? If I look like that, then what happens? People are, well, that's an imam? No. They'll say, like, and I've heard things like this, like, oh, he's actually an imam. I was like, oh, how much knowledge does he have? What does he know? It's like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I didn't realize a uniform gives you, gives you knowledge. It's like, is it like cosplaying? Is like, you know what I mean? It's like, am I putting on a costume for people just so I can impress certain things? And that doesn't mean that there aren't other constituencies, there aren't other groups of people. But at the end of the day, how inviting am I making the religion? And I promise you that we're not making it inviting by looking poor. And the thing that makes me really upset, we're not. Like, we're not poor. Are there people who have more financial struggles than others? Yeah, absolutely. And I don't doubt that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for them. But you're not poor. Like, we're not. As a nation, as a group of people, as a community, like, we're just not. Stop dressing like it. Stop looking like, you know what I mean? Stop just throwing stuff on. Be presentable for yourself. How much confidence do we gain when we look nice? Right? It goes up significantly. Like, when I look in the mirror and I'm happy with what I see, what happens? It makes me feel good the rest of the day. And there are certain things, like when I talk about looking good, it's like about being presentable. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. That the way I am today, and the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created me, this is the best possible way I can be. There are certain things I can change, right? I can change my weight, I can be more toned, right? Like, there are other physical things I can work on. But at the end of the day, I can't change my height, right? I can't change the shape of my face. Those things, I need to accept, like, no, this is the best way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent me. I should be proud of those things. Why? Because this is what Allah gave me. And you want to talk about, like, relationships and stuff like that. How much do relationships change when both people are confident? Like, it's just a positive relationship. But if one person is very confident and the other person is very weak, it's very easily, it turns into like a toxic relationship. So here, we're not talking about confidence, we're talking about arrogance. And it's important for us, like, to know what that line is, and know how to straddle that line. I can be proud of accomplishments, I can be proud of things that I've done, and all of that is fine, as long as I don't believe it makes me better than the person that's next to me. Because at the end of the day, I can have all these accomplishments, right? Even if I pray and I fast and I do all of these things, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there was one guy, he's like, oh man, this person is so bad and blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, he built like 3 masajid. Like, himself. Like, he doesn't seem like a great person, but he built 3 masajid. Like, I don't know his position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Should I try to aspire to be like that? No, right? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has He given us as an example? The Prophet. Simple, right? This is a simple thing. It's not like, I'm not saying, oh, because he did this, I should be like him. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when it comes to judging between us, be very careful. I don't know where this person stands with Allah. I don't know where I stand with Allah. Yes?
I was going to say, like, it's okay to, like, try to emulate certain qualities and have certain people.
That's very different, man. Like, you know what? I want to be...
That guy example you gave, like,
I want to be as generous as my mom. Yeah.
His masjid building.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, it's just general.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, like, akhi, I want to be generous like my mom. For example, is there anything wrong with that?
Generous like who? Sorry.
Like my mom.
My mom, okay.
Nothing. I think those things are very normal. I think they're very healthy. Because we're talking about, like, aspiring for certain characteristics is very different than aspiring to be like the person. Because when it comes to person, there's only one. There's only one we should aspire to be like. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But when it comes to, like, you know, man, this person, they're so knowledgeable, blah, blah, blah. It's like, man, I wish I understood like him. Or I wish I gave like him. I wish I was generous like him. I wish I was honest like him. I wish I was brave like her. Right? Like, these things are very important. And it's just a matter of, like, okay, how do I embody those things? How do I become that person? You know, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us that and more. I mean, so all of these hadith, raising the garment, like, again, it's about arrogance. It's not about the actual garments, right? It's not about the actual clothing. And if I can we all know what it looks like for somebody to dress arrogantly. We have that. We know that. And if there's someone who comes in, right? And I'm not saying that this is necessary. Remember, what did I said at the beginning? It's not always a sign of arrogance, right? It's not always a sign of arrogance. So if I want to come in with like my Louis Vuitton and my Gucci and like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm dressed, but I have to ask, if I'm dressed like that from head to toe and I'm walking into the masjid for like Dhuhr prayer, what is my intention at that point? If I'm dressed like I'm going to a wedding and I'm going to the supermarket, like we all know what it looks like. Like what are you trying to do? Even for us as a society, how comfortable do we look? If somebody's coming in with like a 3-piece tuxedo and he's going like grocery shopping, people are gonna be like, yeah, why are you, you know what I mean? Like, why are you being so extra? What are you doing that for? Versus going to like a dinner ball, right? If I know I'm invited to this gala and it's gonna be a big event, it's a fundraiser, blah, blah, blah. How's everybody gonna dress there? They're gonna dress nicely. And I should what? Meaning that if this is my normal level of dressing, how should I dress? Right? I should increase that. I should dress nicer because the setting calls for that. And if I'm dressing nicely coming for Jummah, is anybody going to be like, oh, why are you dressed so nicely for Jummah? No.
Yes.
Right? Huh?
That happens to me all the time.
Yeah, I don't know what you're wearing, bro. But like, I don't know what you're wearing. but there are certain things that's like, huh? Oh, the top hat?
No, I wore a suit and tie. People were like, in the Masofa. They're like,
but,
do an interview?
No, I'm saying, so yeah, that's very different than why, you know what I mean? Like, it can be out of place depending on the population, right? So it depends on the group of people that you're with. Because, I mean, I've been to plenty of massages where people are wearing suits and ties. It's very normal. Like, over here, it's not strange. Over here, it's totally normal. Yeah.
So I was going to ask about this, like, what if, like, the standards are, like, really poor?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you want to dress well
Because you want to dress well.
You want to dress well.
And you set an example, yeah.
Everybody else is wearing, like, really, really bad. Like, because I've seen, like,
Sure.
like, in the example I'm thinking of, like, sometimes people show up to the Musalla, like, some dude literally showed up in, like, pajamas and a compression shirt.
Yeah. So, again, it depends on the setting.
Yeah.
Right?
Obviously, like, in terms of, like, not trying to stick out versus, like, you want to, like,
Has to be a
set
balance.
a higher standard.
So, what can I do? For example, if the entire community dresses poorly, and let's just use that as an example.
Yeah.
Does it make sense if everybody's at this level that I walk in dressing at this level? Why? If you're saying it doesn't make sense, why? Why doesn't it make sense?
Depends on your intention. Like, if you're like...
Okay, if I want to set an example, I was like, hey, I want to raise the standard. Yes or no?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, there are two things. I want to dress well and I want to raise the standard. Does that, number one, does that mean that I have to dress at this level? No. That's the first question that needs to be asked. Why am I going to dress like this? Because for these people, which one is achievable? This one or this one? This one. Because the jump for them is what? It's very short, right? It's like it's a small jump, right? The other one, they can't. There's no way for them to even jump, because getting to a point where a person is able to dress well, what is the first step in getting some? It's like, and I've seen it, man. Like I've been to some Muslim countries. I've been even here in the U.S. Like even when I'm walking around, sometimes I'm just like, yo, why are you wearing that? Right? It's actually very frustrating. When I look at you, you look poor. It looks like you just took 2 or 3 sheets of that don't match, and you just put them on. It looks bad. Or people who have mismatched shirts and pants. It's so for me personally, it's so frustrating. It's like, dude, color coordinate. Just it's not that hard. It's not that deep. But what does that require? How do I get them here? Slowly. The first step is awareness. Some people don't even realize how important clothing is. Isn't that crazy? Some people just don't even realize that. Does it make sense to bring someone who doesn't realize how important clothing is to something that's over here? Because to me, how am I going to appear? To this person, how is this person going to look? He's going to look standing out. He's going to look bougie. He's going to be like, oh, look at this guy, right? For him, at that point, he's going to be like, oh, he's just doing it for attention. Yes or no? He's doing it for attention. And I'm not here to dictate what this person's intention is at all, right? That's not the goal of the conversation. But the goal of the conversation is okay, if my goal is to educate, if my goal is to be presentable, is there a way for me to scale into that versus forcing others to jump? And the other thing that's important to keep in mind, when I deal with others, it's important to know and it's important to understand where other people are at. And it's important to understand what people are saying. Not because I care about what people say in that sense. I have to care about what people say to be aware of it so I can adjust. Jazakallah khair. Right? I need to care about what people say so I can adjust accordingly, not because I want to change. There's a big difference. Because changing means a complete flip. Adjusting means that, okay, you know what? I think I did a little bit too much this time. Or, man, I don't think I did enough this time. Right? And we constantly use that gauge to adjust accordingly, because at the end of the day, I want the people around me to be what? I want them to be accepting of what it is that I have to bring them. And people are not accepting when the gap is too high. How was it that the Prophet ﷺ was able to deal with the people around him? When the Bedouin man walked in and he looked around, what is the question that he asked? He said, which one is Muhammad? SubhanAllah. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Meaning that what? He blended in. He wasn't dressed like, he didn't have this like amazing, standout clothing. Not just that, he wasn't sitting higher than anyone. He was sitting lower than anyone. He was from them. So, I think it's important to keep those things in mind. And with that, people trusted him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why did they trust him? Because the jumps he was creating for them were not too high. They were like very achievable. People were like, yeah, I can, I can do siwak. People were like, yeah, I can make sure I clean my clothes every few days. Yeah, I can use perfumes. Like, okay, maybe I didn't buy perfumes before. You know what? Maybe I should start buying some. Like small, like these small incremental things. And there's no way for people to listen to me or for people to observe me and learn anything from me unless I make small achievable goals. Right? It has to be achievable. And at the end of the year, right, before they were here, and then what happens? They rise together. Right? You rise together, because the idea isn't for me to rise. Like, I think that's great, right? We should all be working and striving. But what is the best thing? That we raise the waterline of the entire room. And the only way to do that is bringing people along. Is it annoying? Yeah. Is it challenging? Is it like, why don't you get it? Right? Like, we all have these like very natural frustrations. It's like, it's so clear. It's so simple. Why don't you understand this? Well, that's just my own ego. And sometimes part of humility is moving at the pace of the one who is the slowest in the room. And it's hard, right? It's tough. Because it's like, man, the door's right there, dude. Like, we're getting there, right? But how are we getting there? We're going like this. Like, I'm trying to get to that door, and I'm just walking with this person this way. And it's like, we're going, no, we got to come back. Right? And you're kind of going back and forth and kind of doing this. Eventually, you will get to the door. It just takes time. What happened? Huh? But what does that require? It requires humility. It requires patience. SubhanAllah. And time again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is constantly reminding us to be what? To be humble and to be patient. Inna Allaha ma'a sabirin. It is what it is. Can it be hard? Can it be challenging? Can it be difficult? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Musa alayhi salam. Bro, I read I read his stories and I'm like, why didn't you just kill them all? Like these people are so defiant, like time and time again. He's like, all right, here we go again. Like, let's try this one more time. The only time he ever showed frustration, subhanAllah, it wasn't even with them. It was with his brother. Like, it's just amazing. Like, these are people who I was just like, I would want to slaughter, like all of them. It's just like, yeah, like. No, but he didn't even kill him on purpose. No, I'm saying he didn't kill him. He saw him oppressing someone else. So he hit him. He's like, yo, get off of him. And the guy died. Like sometimes we don't know our own strength, right? And Musa alayhi salam, he probably punched him and like caved his chest in. SubhanAllah, some of the Mufassirin, they say, you guys know the story of when he went to help the Shuaib's daughters? So he asked them, he's like, hey, what are you guys waiting for? They're like, well, there's too many men. Some of the Mufassirin, they say, he asked them, what, there isn't anywhere else to go get water? She was like, there is, but a boulder fell on the well, so nobody can get water from there anymore. He's like, show me. So they take him, he lifts up the boulder. Yeah, no, so he lifts up this boulder, he gives them their water and he sends them on their way. And this is why when the daughter said to Shu'aib, they said to him that innahu qawi. No, he said that he's strong and he is trustworthy. How did they get, if we just take the regular story, how do they know he was strong? Sometimes you can observe, sometimes you can see, sometimes you feel, yeah. Yeah. يعني خلاف هذا. His name is Shu'aib. Shu'aib. He's the one who married his daughter to Musa.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. I don't think it's the same. It's not the same one. Yani,
Where does it say that he's Shu'aib?
no, it doesn't say in the Quran.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the Quran, he's not mentioned by name.
Okay.
These are different narrations that mention.
Just like narration.
Yeah. And I don't believe he's the same Shu'aib as the Prophet.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, that's aside. Yeah. So there are different places and spaces. And he did, but he did. And no, he actually spoke to them and he said to them, he's like what's what you want? Like it's not like he saw them and he's like, okay, they need water, and then the reason that they need it is because all these men are on the way. He asked them and they responded. They said there are too many men and we're shy to go get water, so we wait until everybody leaves. But I mean, like I said, humility, man. It's so important that we learn humility, that we learn patience, not just for ourselves, but like if we want to be proper shepherds. In the Prophet, subhanAllah, the Prophet, he describes all of us as shepherds. He says, "Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun ra'iyati." That all of you are shepherds, and every one of you is responsible for his flock. And, huh? Yeah. So here it means his family, and he said, the man is responsible for his home, the woman is responsible in his absence, and he goes on, so on and so forth. But this idea of like leadership, this idea of guiding, this idea of showing, it can only happen if somebody's patient. It can only happen if somebody has humility, right? Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Because without humility, what happens is I set the standard too high, right? That's what happens. When we're not humble, we set that standard too high. And if I'm not patient, then I don't wait for people to come with me. So these are important qualities of leadership. So, I mean, there's a lot about like, having this arrogant walk, how you shouldn't do that, like how you shouldn't look up, and like, we know what the arrogant walk is, right? We know it. And when we see arrogance, like as human beings, when we see somebody that's arrogant, what is our natural inclination? Like, stay away, right? Like, you don't want to engage. If you see somebody, like, the know-it-all, like, oh, every time he said, like, he always has something to say about something. Do you want to talk to that person? No. So, like, oh, she always has a comment about this, or she always needs to put in that, or he always does this. As human beings, we tend to what? We tend to remove ourselves, we tend to avoid them, or we'll stop engaging with them. It's like, when so-and-so is there, I just don't talk, because I know that she's going to monopolize the conversation. Or, oh, so-and-so is going to be there. Listen, if he's there, I'm good, I'm going to stay home tonight. It happens. Right? And why is it? Because I don't want to deal with that person's arrogance. I don't want to deal with the difficulty that's associated with that. Over here, what do you guys think about the statement of Hassan? This is Hassan al-Basri. He's known to be a huge ascetic, right? Giving away the dunya, has no need for it, etc. What do you think about the statement that he has here? Probably very different than some of the stuff I just said. What can we take this as? That we shouldn't dress well? Is that what he's saying? He's like, don't dress nicely. Make sure your clothes don't match. Huh? What do you guys think? Huh? So we should. But over here, Allahu Alam, I think he's just giving him a reminder. Like, listen, just because you look nice, make sure what? Right? Unless you don't have clothes, it's okay. Listen, Goodwill has some nice clothes. I say. They just don't last as long. Alhamdulillah. Like I went through that part of my life too. I'm sorry? Right, it could be vanity, but the reality is when it comes to vanity and arrogance and stuff like that, we don't have sight into a person's heart. But what can we do if we care about that person? Remind them. Is be like, hey, listen, like mashallah, you're looking really nice today. I hope that you're not doing this out of vanity. I hope you're not doing this out of right. It's just a good reminder. Like even when we look at, because remember the danger of confidence is that it can very quickly become what? Arrogance. Right? It's very easy. You know, like it's not a big step. So like always balancing that line, that is a challenge. You know, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. So over here, this is just totally. I love it, dude. I love it. SubhanAllah, who's he talking to? He's talking to his son. He's talking to his son. He's like, what do you think you are? I could buy you for 200 dirham. Why? Again, giving. Remember, and the idea isn't sometimes about the statements. It's about giving perspective. Oh, the one below it? Oh, so he said, Shaitan has brothers. And the thing is, someone might be like, oh, you know, what is going on here? But social accountability is so important. It's so important as long as it's not what? It's not abusive. So there are always two parts of a conversation when it comes to social accountability. Number one, if I'm holding somebody accountable for something, I need to be sure of what I'm holding them accountable for. The number of people that I know have walked up to other people and be like, oh, your prayer wasn't accepted, and you can't do this, or like, oh, this is, you know, you did this, and this is haram. It's like, no, actually, you know, and sometimes I've had to catch people who are like, no, man, there's a difference of opinion on this, or this is how you can do this, this is another way of doing that. I had a brother, he broke his prayer and made the other guy break his prayer. He's like, your prayer is invalid. And now it is, right? Now both their prayers are invalid. And the guy, he came up to me and he's like, yo, Sheikh, like this dude make me break my prayer because he was telling my prayer is invalid and this and that. So the guy comes and I was like, yo, what is going on? And he was like, oh, you know, he had his feet on the ground like this instead of like this. So like the toes were down, right? So he had the toes down instead of the toes being up. And he was like, oh, his prayer is invalid. And I was like, where did you get that from? Who told you that? And he's like, no, you know, it is what it is. He was like, the Prophet ﷺ said to make sajda on like, you know, the 7 parts of the butt. I was like, are his feet on the ground or not? And he was like, yeah, but I was like, then no buts. His feet are on the ground. His prayer is valid. I was like, you wasted his time. You wasted your time. And now you're wasting my time. And he was like, he kept going. I said, listen, I want you to bring me one scholar that agrees with you. That's it. I already told you what I believe, and I said that his feet were on the ground. They're touching the ground. His prayer is completely valid. And I said, you breaking the prayer to do this? I was like, yo, this is totally unacceptable. This is out of pocket. He came back to me and he's like, oh, Sheikh, you were right. And blah, blah, blah. Alhamdulillah, I appreciate the humility, right? Like I appreciate the humility in actually going and looking and then coming back to me. But it's like, you can't be abusive, right? That's one of those cases where it's abusive. How do you deal with such situations, like when it comes to commanding the good and forbidding the evil and social responsibility? But ask questions. Ask questions. All of these people who are speaking, these people are scholars. And the people who they're addressing are people who are close to them, people who they interact with, people who they know, people who they deal with. So sometimes the stuff for us, it can come across as very harsh, right? Some of the stuff we're reading are like, dang man, that's like really harsh. Okay, that person's really close to them. SubhanAllah, I was just reading recently, I don't know how true this is, but it's like friend groups that ridicule each other, their relationships are stronger than those that don't. And part of it is like, okay, you know what? I can actually hurt this person a little bit, and they're able to take it. And remember I said that there's 2 parts of the relationship. One part of the relationship is actually knowing when to criticize. That's very important. And I think many people fail on that. The other part of it is resilience from the person who's receiving that criticism. And what does resilience mean? That, okay, yeah, someone said something mean to me. Can I control people? No. There's going to be someone in my life at some point who's going to say something that is displeasing to me and that hurts me. How should I respond? I go in the corner and I start crying, right? And then I'm like, I'm never coming back here again. That's not a healthy response. And not just not unhealthy, that's a very selfish response. Because I expect the world to what? To work on my time, and work on my rules, and work on my understanding. This world is not mine. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And are there people who are going to hurt and take advantage? And if there was anyone who was deserving of not being hurt and not taking advantage of, it was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was what? He was abused, he was hurt, he was taken advantage of. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Inshallah, see you guys next week. Wallahu a'lam wa sallallahu ala khayri khalqin. Nabiyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.